Hi everyone. I'm going to demo for you today how ID numbers work in PNBot. The most important ID number for you to know about is the client ID number. That is the unique identifier for each patient, or in other words, it's how PNBot knows who you're talking about for looking up information or for reporting purposes. So it's really important that each unique human being, individual enrolled in PNBot has his or her own ID number. That's theirs and no one else's. And it's also important that each ID number is only assigned to that one patient. The other types of ID numbers in PNBot are case ID numbers and encounter ID numbers, but you generally don't really have to worry about them a whole lot unless you want to generate your own reports. So I'm going to walk through those anyway just so that you'll understand what you're looking at when you see those numbers. So I'm going to go to the patient data entry form over here and click on Create a New Patient Record. And the very first field that comes up is Client ID Number. Now I can make up my own, letters or numbers, Client ID here. It doesn't have to be sequential. And it'll be totally fine as a client ID number. For example, if your hospital or institution already assigns each patient a medical record number and you wish to be consistent with that, it's completely fine to use that number for a client ID over here. Or if you don't already have a numbering system in place and don't want to be bothered with having to make up an ID number and checking to see if it's available every single time, you can also click on Get New Client ID, and Client ID will automatically generate here for you as the next available one. And it'll keep adding one to each subsequent patient. But again, it's not really important to the system whether or not this is sequential. Or if you have gaps in the middle, it's fine. So I'm going to go through and enter some information, but I won't be as thorough as I normally would be for data entry purposes. So I won't fill out the rest of this form. I'm just going to click on Save and Continue to Case Data Entry. And you see here, when I get to the case data entry form, the client ID has been populated with what I assigned. I'm going to scroll down to show you the case ID, which is located in row 15 over here. And it's a grayed out box because it's automatically assigned and you can't change it. And it'll have a pop-up box here that says it's a protected sheet. And the case number assigned is 4, and that's because this case that I'm now creating is the 4th case created in PNBot. But I don't really have to worry about that number, but that's just what it means. So I'm going to hit Save and update the database. And it's actually quite similar for Encounters data entry as well. So I can go to Encounters data entry. I'm going to add a new encounter. And you see some more grayed out boxes over here, one for case ID and one for encounter ID. And you can generally leave those alone. Encounter ID number is what PNBot automatically generates to uniquely identify this particular encounter. So this is the 4th encounter that someone has tried to enter and save in PNBot. The case ID will automatically be pulled from this patient's most recent case, but you can change this if, for example, a patient has 2 cases and you, for some reason, want to add an encounter for the first case and not that patient's second case, although that might be sort of a rare situation. So you can change the case ID number if you want to, if you know what it is. So those are essentially the ID numbers. There is a check in place for patient data entry where if I had tried to add a new patient with a previously assigned client ID number, and again, I'm not going to be complete in my data entry here. If I try to save this with an already assigned client ID number, I'll get a duplicate ID warning message that says the client ID is already in the database. Do you want to update the existing record? this will overwrite previously entered information, and I'm going to click no. Because, and generally you don't want to click yes unless you're sure that everything you entered the second time around is okay to overwrite what was previously assigned to this number and is about the same patient, and what was entered the first time was wrong. Otherwise, I'm going to click no because basically Jessica Jones is a completely different person from Serena Phillips. So I would have overwritten Serena Phillips' information had I clicked OK. So instead, the system prompted me to change the number, which I'm going to do now. And now it saves as no problem. Okay, so those are essentially the ID numbers that you need to know about. Thank you for watching.